Hi, this is Reese from CreataCRM, and today I'm going to be showing you how we've implemented project management inside of Creata. Now, project management has many different methodology and processes, but they all relatively come down to 4 to 5 particular processes and controls that they all follow. Now, we have actually followed this and used it in our product, and we have talked about the initiating, the planning, the executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Now we've broken them down into these sections. Obviously initiating, we were talking about quoting, and actually when the user prepares the quote and initiates it, and then he can then convert it into a project and start planning it. And from that he will then organize the resources of his people and then assign who needs to do it and then execute. And then the monitoring and controlling, which is obviously identifying the time and materials need to be put on this particular project, and then finally when you need to close the project, you can invoice. Now I've relatively followed those processes and we'll show you in Creata how we've done this. Obviously for the experts in project management it gets quite fast, but for most people using it from a accounting system and wanting to link all the systems, this is probably good enough for their particular needs. Now let's look at the initiating stages, so let's look at Creata itself. Now in Creata itself we have the ability to create quote templates in here. So if you can go to sales section over here, quotes and quote templates. Now in quote templates we're going to have a quote itself that has set up rec and hosting. Now that has just a quote, it's got 3 line items. It's obviously quite simple, but these 3 line items that you can see in the surface has a complex process behind these systems. So for example, let's say I want to look at creating a Creata site. It has all these items that we quote to the users. When you actually click on that, they actually connect to a product service, and from that product service you can actually wire it to templates in here, setting up rec and site. Now inside of that it can go through some rules, and you can design this in a beautiful Gantt chart. Now you can drag and drop this and add items in here and have rules to say when you actually activate this job, here are the people's roles from a technician, accounts, manager and trainer will all be assigned to these roles. And from this you have these tasks that you need to implement through this. Now each one of these items in the products in this template, you can assign different particular items in there. So when we're going training, you're going to be assigning it to the trainers in your organization. These are the tasks that they've got to have, and it goes through. Now what they also do is that they can do check measures in this whole system. So for example, the trainer itself, when he actually does a follow-up call, if he hasn't successfully had a follow-up call, he's going to make another follow-up call. So if he fails on that attempt, he fails again, or if he's successful, he then schedules an activity. So you've got control mechanisms that will force through the user to make sure he does his checks and balances. Now that's a slight overview, and as you know with project management it gets very, very complex. So for this video training we won't go too deep in the organization of the actual process, but let's now show it in just as a user how easy this is. So first I'm going to be looking at initiating. So things we'll be doing is going to the contact itself, looking up the contact Reese, and go to that contact. Now because we've already created a quote template in here, we will therefore go to tools, drop down menu, and go quote template setup a rec and hosted system. Now straight away it's put the line items in the system in here in the quote itself, and you can actually send a quote in here. So we're going to save and view this quote, and we can actually send that quote out. Now that has put all the items in the quote, really simple as that. Now we're finished the initiating of this. So the next stage, as you can see here, we're going to project planning. So it's that easy in Creata. To make it simple, you just go to tools, drop down menu, and go create project itself. That simple. Now because there's so many elements and tasks inside of here, and if you've got a lot of projects in here with product services in there, there's a lot of blank stuff. So if it's blank, it's going to go to an admin. You can choose any contact in the database, but let's say we click on admin itself, which is the one, I am the one who's organizing the organization of the project. So set up hosted, I'm going to probably put the company name, Creata Reese Harper, on there, cut and paste the name so I can have an easy view of it, and and so just save and view this itself. So straight away what it's done, I'm now up to this stage. So I'm up the stage store of planning, this section over here, and bring it back. And so right now I have a Gantt chart. Now that's really important. So in the Gantt chart you can see an overview. That's what you're expecting right now, where you've got the job itself, that's the primary job, and then you've got a collection of jobs, which is training and setting it up. Now you can actually just move this Gantt along and drag and drop it to say, no, I want to do this the second stage in here. Now you can actually see who it's connected to. You can actually double click and utilize the resources that you need to have on there at the moment. So defaulted, the task had all these people that's assigned to this particular deliverable, and there's the items like admin and user. So I can actually just take, for example, some of these items out where I can say, no, I'm not doing that. I'll give it to that user, and I'm giving to that user as well. So you can see you can drag and drop them, move them around to different stages if you have to, and that would and you can do start and end dates on them, and that can do the ability to start to organizing your planning of that. So we're just going to delete that just to speed through this this training. So from that, we're looking to now start to execute, which are jobs. Now that means that you've assigned the resources to your to the people that are going to be doing the tasks, and it's their job now to deliver it. You've done the planning, you've initiated it, you've planned it, now you're executing it. So let's see how we can execute this. So inside of Creator, simple, you'll go to that project which is in here. It has lovely Gantts in here, and you can just simply right click on this particular job itself. It was setting up Reckon itself. Now straight away it's showing you beautiful colorized of which users that have been assigned to this organization. You can click through them and see what they've got. You've got things like my tasks, that's the admin tasks. You know how you've planned it beforehand. You've got some tasks in here. You've got all tasks in here in the organizations, setting up Reckon, training itself. So these are the ones that have been done first, and off we go. Now pretend I'm one of the users here. Now we've color coded these tasks, by the way. You can color code them, and that's in the task type. So if the managers like color coding on different elements of tasks that you've got to do, we can do that. So again, now I'm going to just start to say, well, I'm setting up the site. Now I'm going to time this. Now I'm going to press a timer, and it now starts playing a timer on this. So you can actually now, when you're executing the job, you can actually develop how long it takes to do these tasks and give you statistics on when setting up a Reckon site, what user takes what time on these tasks, and gives you really important analytics. Now we know there's some really good project management software, but we found if we can link everything to one location, you're going to get better analytics, because these databases can create endless amount of data, and that's what you want over time when you have an organization. You're really blindsided by when people do jobs. You really know you don't know what's going on. So this will help you time it and close it. So we're going to now close that. For the first time, it's going to pop up and say, well, what activity you're connected to. Apologize, I'm just going to say this is just the meeting, and we're now going to save and close this, and it's 44 seconds. Now that's now logged that time into this section and put it in here. So if I actually customize these columns, which is easily doing, total time on there, so I hope I'm quick in this demonstration, and click on here, it's got 1 second, so you can see the resource time, what the event of the time was done. So now I've actually cleared this one. I have set it up, now I've cleared it off, and it goes off and it's cleared. And the next one, now see how the deliverables coming up where I finish one, now the next one's now starting, and it pops up on the screen, and it assigns to the next person. We can send emails, SMSs, whatever you need to on there. So it's cleared off the setting up the system, and now we're setting up the site. Now you've got things like unsuccessful complete, successful complete, and that's really important for setting it up. Now if I say I've completed this, I'm up to saying call the client for hosted. Now what we have found with calling people up, there needs to be a procedure, because a lot of times you say, have you done this? No, I've called the guy and nothing happens, and that's probably a management side of the fence. It's a tough state, because you've got to find out, well, why was this not achieved? Because the person was unseen, was uncontactable. So let's say call for add credentials. We're going to say I wasn't successful. Okay, so what it then does is create another follow-up call for that person to do that. Now that does it in another day's time, on the 5th, now the 4th today. So it gives them another day to follow it up, and it will pop up on the screen. Now for this example, let's say it's now the 5th, I call the person up and I complete the task, and it's completely changed and cleared off. Now the other tasks you can see here is the trainers themselves we have another job section in here, so you can actually go to the Gantt and see the children jobs on here in the job. So that means like in project management, the jobs like our deliverables, we've got tasks on them as well. So for example, we're going to for the trainer side of the fence, you can go to this particular section here and go to his roles. Now, he's automatically assigned to a user, so he can actually just have his tasks in here, and off he goes. Now, so he's now going to follow up a reckon site, and he'll obviously call up, and he can press the play to follow it up and to prepare manuals in here. And he can play around by stopping and starting particular elements in here and press play, and it will start to calculate the times. Now it goes into a nice yellow when it actually is playing, and that helps people when there's a list view of the managers and they can see what they're working on, and it does a count in the section here. So let's stop that section over here, and we're now going to clear this off here. So we've followed up training, cleared it off, and cleared off training manual. Now, so then it's got 33% of the value. We're going to just refresh this to get more. Yes, at 66, and there's another task up the top here, schedule activities, because when you've completed it, create another task on here, which is schedule the activity when you're actually following up the activity, and clear it off, and there it is. So the trainer itself has completed all the jobs for the project itself. Now for the project manager, we are looking at, you can see why the users are using tasks that have been assigned to them, and they can clear it off, giving them alerts and reminding them to do that. If there's things that fail, they can do reminds them of other tasks, and it keeps on going down. Now for the project managers, they still need to monitor and control the situation as well. So for example, let's go to the tab of project management and go back to the parent project in here, and you can see here all these particular tasks that you have in the system and all the projects. So you can actually monitor the completion. At the moment it's 93% complete, total work time of about 31 minutes, about 20 minutes at the moment, and there's some elements that haven't been completed. So it gives that person the ability to click on that and view who's been assigned to it, who's been assigned to it, and call them up and say, look, what's going on? The project hasn't been finished. This task, can you please clear it off? So for example, that helps them manage it and still add other jobs and tasks, and also allocate resources if there's particular times in here, and see an overview of all the particular activities in the job itself, what users have been on there, and other things, attachments and different things here. So that helps them in the monitoring side of the fence. Now the final part is obviously closing and invoicing. Now what we've left is one particular activity that the final thing is that the accountant itself is now assigned a job itself. So if you click on here, and this user itself completes this activity. So he successfully completes this. See here, if I go to the job template here and just follow the tracks, so it's setting up a reckon site in the job template, you've got something called reckon setting it up, and then when you go through the actual elements, you've got set up billing for the client. So what happens now, we're up to the final stage where we've closed the invoices. Now it's actioning the accounts team to actually send out an invoice. So we'll have a look at that version. So we'll go to projects, go to the last activity itself, and you can see here in setup billing. So that is actually assigned to the accounts team itself, so that'll give her an alert to send the invoice out. This is a quoted task, and she can now send the invoice out. So all she has to do is probably go into her sales section here, find that quote. We're going to go reckon hosted in here, and all we're going to do is just simply go to create an invoice. We need to probably assign it to an account. So this is connected to the accountancy system, so you can have the account connected to it. Save and view, and go tools, and send it across. Okay, so that's send invoice out and ready to be sent out to the accountancy system. So pretty much what we have done is we've followed a pattern here from the project management side of quotes, initializing, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and then closing and invoicing. So Creator, as you can see here, integrates to the Xero, MYB, and Reckon system, and we've really made a easy process where you can actually do project management and do those elements of planning and executing and assigning resources for people. Hope this helps, and if there's any questions, please don't hesitate to call.